I want to take us back to, or bring us back to Gauteng rather, and Ziniko Mhlaba, who is tracking developments in the Zanzou story. This is that nightclub abuse story that developed or broke overnight. We understand that he is outside the nightclub now, where there is a strong police presence, as well as a political representation, protests being carried out there outside the premises by members of the MK party. Ziniko, before we get into who's there and what that protest is looking like, we did see a very large vehicle. It looked like some kind of removal vehicle arrive at the club. Have police locked down that scene? Is it an active crime scene? What was it that was taken away in that very large vehicle?
So, Iman, that removal truck did not take anything. It didn't even stay long outside the establishment. And of course, we, following the presence and the exit of that particular truck away from this particular establishment, we saw some police officers from nearby police station, which is in this case Brooklyn, arriving. And when we tried to engage with them in terms of what was the purpose of their presence, they said that actually this property needs to be secured due to the fact that there are investigations that are taking place. So we're not sure yet whether that means it has turned into a crime scene or they've just said they're securing it for further investigation. So police officers are indeed present, and of course they fully secured the property. So from what we understand from the officials we spoke to off camera, that nothing is going to be taken out of this property until further notice. And since then we have not seen anyone then arriving to try to remove anything or any vehicle that would give us indication that it's an indication belonging to the establishment. Well, in terms of the protest, we saw a few members of the Mkhonto Wesizwe student movement coming in earlier on, and of course they've since left. Some have dispersed and joined the rest of us here on the sideline. So that's where things are right now. We're just seeing some officials and members of the media just stationed outside this particular property. So that's where we are at this point. But I want to bring in one of the activists in terms of civic organization activism here in the province, that Abram Mashishi. Sir, thank you very much for your time. You've been in the community space for some time right now. You are once part of the leadership of SANCO, which is an alliance partner with the ANC, SACP. At this point, how would you describe the response of authorities, be it from municipality, from the South African Police Service, in terms of handling this matter?
Thank you very much, and that is Ziniko, and thank you very much for the viewers home. As SANCO, in particular, Gauteng Province leadership, we are watching this closely, and we are very much disappointed. We must be honest with you regarding the manner in which our government are massaging issues of foreign nationals in the country, the issue of crime. It's something that as if we are like children often that they don't have parents. So we are on our own, honestly speaking, because we are being traumatized left, right and center. These are illegal zamas, the foreign nationals, where they're supposed government to put it very clear and say, let them go. Mabahamba, get out of the country. They are talking about the registration of the spaza shop and the like. So these are the results of the reluctant government that is not taking our people serious. Yeah. And as voters, our people are they like this government, they are voting for this government. It's high time that they need to come strong.
But what becomes your role as SANCO? You lead communities, you are on the ground. What becomes your role in terms of playing your part, conscientizing establishments such as these ones about compliance or the importance of compliance, but holding government accountable instead of just condemning them? What have you done in your part to ensure that we don't get to this point where we are reacting to an event that has happened?
The challenge is one. When we raise these matters or memorandums to the government, it seems as if we are just wasting our time, because that's the ignorance and the arrogance of our government. Come, I tell you, December we submitted a memorandum. It was a national march of SANCO as a civic organization. And on the memorandum, we request the president to come up with a team that is going to be co-shared by the President and SANCO. So we are dealing with the problem that are facing our community. Because as we can look, we are the voice of the voiceless. We are representing the community. Community cannot represent themselves. And as SANCO, it becomes so disturbing because these people, we can share the boardroom with them. We can sit in one meeting, be able to discuss. But there is no that platform that we must address these issues.
From now on, we have the situation we're dealing with here in Tshwane. What is your plan of action or your program as SANCO in terms of trying to address these challenges you've expressed, especially when it comes to eradicating all these bad incidents which are happening within our communities? Before we talk about government, from your side, what's the way forward?
Currently, we are going to mobilize the entire community around the issue of Gauteng to demonstrate and support the victims at all costs, and making sure that this establishment, the license is being revoked, it's been closed, it must not operate any longer. We are going to follow the case to the latter, call the police, the CPF as stakeholders to come together and work on this program so that we make sure that our people get justice.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Iman, that's Mr. Abram Mashishi, who is part and parcel of the leadership of SANCO here in Gauteng, just adding his voices, adding their voices as SANCO on this particular story, as we see more stakeholders reacting and condemning, but also SANCO at this particular point is saying that, well, they've tried their level best to engage with the authorities on these issues and many other issues, but they have not been listened to. That's where we are. We'll continue bring in more voices as they arrive, but also monitor the situation in terms of what is happening here and what will be happening in this particular establishment from now and as we head into the weekend.
Ziniko, just before I let you go, I mean, the focus has been on the criminal investigation, the charges that have been laid by 3 alleged victims in the matter. We've seen the community outrage, you've seen the politics. Where are the owners? Who are they? What do we know about who is responsible for this establishment being run in the way that it is? We see a lot on social media about people who say they no longer own, they no longer the directors. Who at this moment can we confirm is actually owns this particular establishment?
So there is no direct owner who has come out or who has been fully identified and verified as the actual owner of this particular establishment. Iman, what you've seen and what I've gathered as well from my own end is the gentleman I've been talking to, who is a co-owner but who is not involved in the daily operations of this particular establishment, is the one who's been assisting us in terms of trying to get some reaction from the ownership, from the owners or the leadership of this particular establishment. But what I'm gathering, Iman, is that there is no single individual who's owning this particular establishment. It might be a form of a consortium or a group of individuals who have different interests and different percentages in terms of the ownership of this establishment. So no one has really taken up that responsibility. But also there was a gentleman, Stephen, who had been identified through social media and identified as the owner. That gentleman himself has distanced himself through a statement saying that, well, he had not been involved in this establishment for the past 3 years, saying that, well, he also relinquished his powers and stake at this particular establishment, going on to state that he really condemns the incidents which took place here, saying that he will fully collaborate with all the investigations led by authorities. So that's as far as we know in terms of the ownership. So maybe as the days go by, we'll be able to pin down a particular individual or individuals who must really take responsibility for this. But also, as you said, that there are investigations that are ongoing. So maybe some insights from law enforcement agencies and to check whether they've made some inroads in terms of trying to establish the owners of this particular establishment. So to answer your question in short, no one has come out, no one knows who really owns this establishment. Hence, we have not seen anyone taking up that responsibility.